man. It's like picking out clothes. Hey. I got so many flows, I don't know how to be the same. So many flows, I can kill your beat any type of way. So many flows, I don't see the need to imitate. So many flows, songs in my mind. I got so many flows, I don't know how to be the same. So many flows, I can kill your.
What's good, Candy King gang? It's your girl King. What's good, y'all? What's poppin'? What's cracking? How you doing? How you been? I hope your day is going good. It is Vlogmas Day 13. It's Friday the 13th. So this is another story time. I'm doing my story times as I remember them. Whenever I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, and the story comes up in my head like, damn, I remember this time, this, and this. I sets up and do a story time. So, like I told y'all, I'm sitting in my living room. If it's echoey, some people said they don't mind. But I mind, okay? I like sitting in front of my tree with my candy canes hanging off the tree. But I can't do that because it's a lot of motherfucking noise outside. So if you happen to hear any construction noises, anything like that, yeah, just excuse the noise. It's a certain way I like my videos to be. But first and foremost, I want to thank all of my subscribers, okay, all of my family members, my KKG members. I want to thank all of y'all for the love, for the support, for everything, for going me the long way, and I fucks with y'all the long way. I want to thank y'all. Secondly, if you're new to this channel or if you're watching this video, I need you to hit that bell in the corner, hit the subscribe button, and I need you to hit the like button. So, this story time takes place in New York once again, okay? I had a time in New York. This is during my college days. So we're going to go ahead and hop into the story time. None of the names used in this story time belong to any of these people. Their names are being changed to protect their privacy. Their names are being changed to protect the privacy of the trifling and not the innocent. So y'all, I used to go to New York City Technical College, that's downtown Brooklyn, okay? I was going to that school maybe for like a year and a half. I want to say this story time was maybe like around, I have no idea what year it was. I just know that I was age 21 or 22. I was around this age, and I was going to New York City Technical College, okay? That was the very first college that I went to. I applied to many colleges, but I decided to go to this one. Why? Because it was in Brooklyn. It was in the area. It was easy to get to me. And I don't know, y'all. I just like the area that the school was in. So I'm enrolled into New York City Technical College. I think my major was, it has something to do with business management or liberal arts. I don't remember, okay? But I know it has something to do with business because I'm a businesswoman. I like to handle my business. And this is around the time where I met my friends, Tika, Tangi, Maribel, and Renee. This story time is not about how I met them, but they will be coming into the story and you'll be getting small snippets of how I met them. Now, when I first started going to this school, it was just me. You know, I was by myself, taking the A train, going to school, going to work, going home, okay? I was focused. Now, I don't really like making friends when I was going to college. I didn't really like it because I would tend to get distracted, y'all. I'm gonna be honest. I get distracted very easily, okay? And I don't know. I just get distracted very easily at that time. So I'm going to this school, and I'm saying to myself, I'm gonna stay focused. I'm gonna do my work. I'm gonna do my school work. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna stay in line, stay in place, stay in my motherfucking lane. So I had this class. I had this chemistry class. Y'all, chemistry is the worst subject in the motherfucking world. To this very day, and I'm gonna be real with y'all, you know this is a transparent channel, I don't understand chemistry. I don't like it, don't understand it, didn't try to understand it, didn't want to understand it. So I met this girl, and she was Korean. She was Korean, and she was African American. She was black. As I'm attending the school, y'all, this is where I met this girl. We're just gonna call this girl Beverly. Her dad was black and her mom was Korean. Beverly had the chinky eyes, but she had a more coarse hair texture, if I get what I'm saying. And her skin complexion was a little bit like mine, not too dark and not too light. It was just like a very beautiful caramel color. But you can tell by her eyes, she had this mixed in her. When I first met Beverly, this was in a chemistry class, y'all. I hate chemistry. I failed the chemistry class because I refused to try to learn it. I just felt like in life, what the do I need chemistry class for? That's just how I felt. I met Beverly in this chemistry class, y'all, okay? And I met Beverly because she was sitting across from me, and every time we had this class, y'all, she did not have a pen, she didn't have a pencil, she didn't have paper. I don't understand. So Beverly, let me to give y'all a description of her. Beverly was maybe about 5'6", very slim. She was carrying this little small Louis Vuitton bag. I mean small, okay? She couldn't even fit her phone into the bag. Just maybe lip gloss and coins and maybe her keys, okay? And then it had a strap and it would go across her. She was carrying that. She would wear white Vans or white Converse, tennis skirts with, little polo shirts like this, and they would be tied in the back or the front. This was her look. One day, she asks the professor,
"Hi, would you happen to have like an extra pencil or pen?"
And the professor just basically gets in her ass and was like,
"Listen, this is college. This is a class. This is not high school. This is not junior high, elementary. How are you coming to these classes and you don't never have a pen or a pencil? Like, you don't even carry a book bag. You don't carry nothing. Like, I don't understand."
So she was like,
You could have just said yes or no.
So the professor just looked at her and just turned his head and he went back to his desk, sat down, and was writing a book. So she's looking around the class, y'all. Me trying to be nice Kane because I didn't have no friends. I'm holding up my pen like, she's like,
"Oh, thank you."
So I hands her the pen. She takes the pen, she turns around, she starts writing. As the class is going on, y'all, Beverly gets up and she moves her seat back to where I'm sitting at. Now, I wasn't sitting in the back, but I wasn't sitting in the front. I was like in the mid back. Let's just call it the mid back. She moves her seat closer to me and she slides me a note, like, a piece of paper. She had got paper from the young boy that was sitting in front of the classroom. I'm assuming he had a crush on her because he used to stare at her the whole entire time that the class was going on. So I opens up the note and the note says, "Hi, I'm Beverly. What's your name?" Respond on the paper because this professor's an asshole. So I looked over her and I started laughing. So I wrote, "My name is" on the paper, and I slid the paper back to her. She reads it, she looks at me, and she's like, so once this class is over, y'all, I'm putting my textbooks and all that into my bag after sitting there for a whole 35 minutes, not knowing what the fuck's going on. Because like I said, this is chemistry class. I don't understand what's going on, okay? But I'm putting my books in my bag, and Beverly comes around to my seat, and she's like,
"So, thank you for the pen. I really appreciate it."
I'm like, "Nah, it's nothing. You can keep it. Because I know you probably got other classes to go to." She's like,
"No, this is my only class today."
So I'm like, "Oh, all right, cool." So I'm trying to get out the class, y'all. I wasn't trying to interact with Beverly like that. I really wasn't. But she just kept talking to me. So she's like,
"So what's your major? What is your major here at the school?"
So I told her, like, business, I think it was business management. I can't remember, y'all. But I'm just like, yeah, it's business or business management, whatever the fuck it was. She's
like, "Oh, I have the same major."
So I'm like, yeah, I really don't understand why we need chemistry. I don't understand physics and all of that bullshit. I don't get it, but so be it. So after I, put my stuff in my bag, I'm walking to the classroom. Beverly's walking behind me. She's like,
"So what are you doing after this?"
I'm like, I'm about to go to the cafeteria and get me something to eat because y'all, quick commercial break. Anybody who's ever went to New York City Tech, please, please, please comment below. Let me know. Have you ever tried these things? Okay, these pizza pastries. That's what I used to call them, but it's really called Strambolis. I think Stramboli or whatever. It looked like garlic knots 5.0. This had cheese in it. It had pepperoni or either ham. They can make it however you, whichever them two meats you wanted. And it had the garlic sauce on it with the parsley, okay, and then the Parmesan cheese. Oh my God, I think it was called stromboli, and it was so big. They was like literally like this. They was like this size on my hand, y'all. I would get 2 of those, and I would get me a Sprite. Oh my God, like so. Commercial break over. So I'm telling her, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to the cafeteria to get me something to eat. And then probably from there, I'm gonna just, walk down Fulton, see what they got in the stores, and I'm going home. She's like,
So you stay in Brooklyn?
I'm like, yeah, I live in Crown Heights. She's like,
Oh, well, I live in Long Island.
so I'm like, oh, okay. So you come all the way here for this school? She's like,
Yeah, I don't know. It's a long story. I don't got time to talk about that right now. But yeah, I got kicked out of one school, and this is the school that accepted me the quickest, so that's why I'm at this one.
so I'm like, you got kicked out of another college. She's like,
Yeah. But it's nothing, motherfuckers they be hating bad. So I ain't even gonna stress it. I ain't even gonna really get into detail.
so I was like, well, it was nice talking to you, I guess I'll see you tomorrow in class if you happen to come. She's like,
So you dismissing me?
I'm like, no, I'm not dismissing you. Like, we're going our own ways, correct? She's like,
Well, I was trying to hang out with you. Like, I'm just trying to see what you got going on. I don't really got no friends. Like, this is my first year in this school. You seem really cool. So I'm not trying to latch on to whack people, or I'm not trying to latch on to.
this is basically what she was saying, y'all, while we walk into the elevator. So I was like, all right, well, like I said, I'm going to the cafeteria to eat. If you want to come to the cafeteria and sit there and eat with me, it's fine. So we goes to the cafeteria, okay? I basically put Beverly on to the Strombolis, all right? I hope I'm saying it right. But I put her on to these pizza pastries, and she got 2, I got 2, okay? So I'm sitting there, I'm busting mine down. She's biting into it. She's like,
Damn, like, this is good. You know what's wild? I never came to this cafeteria.
I'm like, really?
She's like, yeah, I never came to the cafeteria.
So the whole time we sitting there eating, y'all, Beverly is dry flirting with the guy that's across from our table. This guy was like tall and really, really dark, and he had braids. He had like the meat meal braids, and it was messy. They wasn't done. She had a type in Wiggers, y'all. She's sitting there and she's biting into these Strombolis, and she's staring at this guy. So she's biting into it, and she's looking at this guy. So I turn around and look. I see the guy looking over at our table. So I'm like, oh, you got a crush? So she's like,
I mean, I love me some dark meat.
this is her exact words here. So I was like, oh, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, I totally understand what you mean by that. She's like,
So what are you doing after this?
I'm like, I'm going on Fulton to see what they got out there, and then I'm going home. She's like,
Fulton.
I'm like, yeah, Fulton, the shopping area. She's like,
Like, oh, out there.
I'm like, yeah. So she's like,
Well, that's wild. I've never been there.
so I'm like, so how do you get to the school? Like, she's like,
Oh, it comes that way. It comes like across the bridge.
I'm like, oh, okay, so you've never took a walk or like rode up Fulton? She's like,
No.
I'm like, okay. She's like,
So what store are you going to?
I'm like, I'm going to, there's a Rainbows there. It's a Pretty Girls. Like, I'm just naming the stores, y'all, that I'm getting ready to go into and look into. So Beverly is like,
Rainbows.
I'm like, yeah,
Pretty Girls.
yeah,
You shop there?
yeah. She's like,
Yeah, Macy's over there.
I'm like, yeah, it's Macy's there. She's like,
Okay, well maybe I'll come with you.
so I'm like, all right, cool. So y'all, after we finish eating, Beverly gets up and she walks over to this dude. and she's talking to the guy. She ends up exchanging phone numbers with this guy. Very quick, very swift, very smooth. So we leaves the school, y'all, and we're walking up to Fulton Street. We're approaching the Macy's. The Macy's is literally on the right-hand side of the street, and it's before we get to the Rainbows, okay? The Rainbows is like a block away on the other corner. So she's like,
oh, that's the Macy's. It's going to the Macy's.
so I'm like, all right. So y'all, we goes into the Macy's, and I'm like looking around. Now, I'm not gonna say I could not afford anything at a Macy's, but at that current moment in time, I did not like shopping at Macy's. I think it was expensive, you know what I'm saying, for clothing brands of designers that don't really f with us. So I was just like, you know, I like going to the little boutiques, okay? I like finding little, I like finding little $10, $15 dresses and blouses, you know what I'm saying, for a one-time event or whatever. Like, I don't like spending hundreds of dollars on one item that I'm only gonna wear it 1 or 2 times. This is what I'm telling Beverly, okay? So Beverly is like,
girl, like, are you crazy? Like, designer is it. Designer is top notch. My body has to have designer threads on it.
so I was like, all right, well, you know, do what you do. She's like,
So yeah, we're gonna look around because they have a lot of things up in here. Trust me, you're gonna like it.
we're walking, y'all. We get to the women's department. Beverly is looking around. She's like touching on stuff, you know, the whole thing. So she's like,
I think I'm gonna get this.
she picks up a shirt, y'all. She picks this shirt up, and she's like, I think it was made by DKNY. She's like,
I think I'm gonna get this, but I'm not gonna get it today. I'm gonna come back tomorrow and get it. You gonna come with me?
so I'm like, yeah, you know, if you come to class and you here, like, yeah, I'll come with you. She's
Like, yeah, I'm coming to class tomorrow, but I'm gonna get this tomorrow. Like, I'm just making a list of things I'm gonna get.
keep that part in your suitcase. So I was like, all right, well, I don't see anything I want. So we're gonna fast forward. Here it is the next day. It's the next day. I don't exactly remember what day of the week it was, but I know it was the next motherfucking day. And I'm walking into this chemistry class, and Beverly is sitting in the same seat, okay? So we don't have assigned seats. We sit wherever we sit, okay? It's like a first come, first serve thing. But the seat that I had, it had a book bag in it. So I walks past the seat and I'm going to a different one. Beverly is like, so I'm looking at her and she's pointing at the seat. So she moves the book bag. It was like this furry book bag. It had like little ears. And it was like light pink. She moves the book bag. She's like,
I saved you a seat.
so I go and I sit down. I'm like, thank you. She's like,
Yeah, we need our regular seats.
so this whole entire class, y'all, Beverly is sending me notes. She's talking about people in the class in the notes. She's talking about the professor, all kinds of craziness, okay? So the professor is noticing it. He's looking. He didn't never say anything, y'all. He just would be looking. So once the class was over, the professor asked me to come to his desk. I go to his desk and he's like,
Listen, I don't know what you and Beverly have going on. Okay, that's her name, right?
I'm like, yeah. He's like,
But I think you need to stay away from her, or like just lay a little low on her because she looks like bad news to me.
so I'm like, she looks like bad news. Like, you don't, you know, or she is bad news. We're just going off how she looks. This is what I'm saying to him. So he's like,
I'm a professor. I just did my research for these past couple of days, and I'm just saying to you, Beverly is a problematic person. So, and I'm noticing, you know, you were a student, you would pay attention, and your attention was a little clouded today.
so I'm like, all right, I got you. And I walks out of the classroom. Beverly's standing in the hallway. So Beverly is like,
What is he talking about? Like your grades or what is it?
so I was like, he just said that I need to pay attention more. I wasn't paying attention. She's like,
He's always got something dumb to say, like Kim.
so I'm like, I mean, I wasn't paying attention today though. Like we neither one of us was. So Beverly is like,
Who's paying attention to this? Who? Just who?
so I'm like, it's a lot of people paying attention to it. She's
It's like, all right, you're right. So are we still going to Macy's?
So I'm like, yeah. So yo, I goes to the cafeteria. I couldn't leave this building every single day until I had at least one or two of them, those pizza pastries, shrimbolis. So we goes to the cafeteria. I get my pizza pastry, and then we walk to Fulton so we can go to Macy's. So she can go get her DKNY shirt. So once we get inside of this Macy's, y'all, Beverly starts acting weird. We get to the women's department and she finds the same shirt. So she's like,
Damn, they don't even have the small anymore. So what do you think about a medium?
I'm like, I mean, you don't want to have to wear the shirt. It's up to you. Like, see if you can try the shirt on, see if you like how it fits. She's like,
No, I like it small because I like it to hang a little bit over my, my belly button.
so I'm like, all right, so a medium would be too big. They have extra small. How about that? She's like,
No, it's gonna be jacked up like a sports bra.
so I'm like, all right, Beverly, I don't know what to tell you. They have it in black if you want to get black. So she's like,
Oh my God, this is my whole itinerary.
so she goes around, she's looking at the black shirt. She's like,
You think this would go with a white tennis skirt?
I'm like, yeah. Depending on what you're putting on your feet, you're going to wear black shoes, black sneakers, black boots, whatever. Or you could just wear white. It doesn't matter. It's neutral colors. Black and white go together. It goes with anything. She's like, all right, that's why I like you. So y'all, she takes the shirt and she lays it across her arm. Then she's just picking out different things. So I'm like, I'm about to go look over here. So I just walks away, y'all. And I go and I'm just, looking at different things, whatever, looking at bags, looking at shoes. I notices that Beverly is disappeared. I don't see her. So I'm just looking around the whole entire women area, walking around and looking. So the store clerk says,
Hi, do you need some help?
so I'm like, yeah, I was just looking for my friend, Chinese girl that was just over here. She's like, oh, I seen her go towards the bathroom, restroom area. So I'm like, oh, all right. So I walks over there, y'all. I goes into the bathroom. I don't see Beverly. I'm near the bathroom area. I don't see her. Now, this is crazy and it's probably weird. We didn't even exchange phone numbers, anything. So I had no way to call her phone, nothing. So after walking through this whole entire women's area, y'all, I went through the men's area, basically the whole damn store. I don't see Beverly. I'm like, this is crazy. So I goes back towards the women's department. I'm looking near the dressing area. The girl says that
Nobody came to try anything on.
So I'm like, all right, thank you. So y'all, I leaves the whole in Macy's. I'm like, I don't have time for this, okay? Once I get outside and I'm walking up the block to go towards the train station, I see Beverly. Beverly is standing on the corner, okay? She's standing on the corner, but not the open corner. It's like the corner, like when you get ready to turn the corner. She's standing on this corner, and she's like,
I was waiting for you to come out of the store. Like, I don't know what was taking you so long.
So I'm like, what did you leave the store for? Like, did you even get the stuff? Like, I'm lost. The fuck is going on? She's like,
Yeah, I got the stuff.
so I'm looking at her hands, y'all. I don't see no Macy's bags or nothing. So I'm like, you got the stuff. She's like,
Come on.
so we start walking down the block towards the train station. Beverly takes this book bag off her shoulder and she opens up the bag and she moves this stuff, this aluminum out the way, and it's the shirt, the shorts, and whatever else that she had picked up. I'm just like, you stole this shit out of the store? She's like,
I wouldn't say steal.
I'm like, so what would you call it? Is it borrowing? You're gonna wear it and take it back? You're gonna take it back to the store? She's like,
No. I mean, this is mine. I'm keeping it.
I'm like, okay, so you stole it out of the store. Like, so y'all, I instantly start thinking about what my mother has said. When you are with somebody that's stealing, you might as well steal too. Because if they get caught, you're gonna get caught. So So I'm asking Beverly, like, how did you get this out of the store without the beeper going off at the door? She's like,
Oh, I have all my tools and my dad. Like, I'm not new to this. This is what I do.
so I'm like, so you just be going in stores stealing?
Once again, it's not stealing.
I'm like, all right, forgive me. So yo, we end up splitting up. I gets on the train because I'm going home, and she goes her way, okay, wherever she was going. But the whole train ride, I'm just like, I just can't believe it's like this girl just stole all this shit out of the store, and she's talking about it's not stealing. All right, maybe 2 days go by, maybe 2 or 3 days, because I had this class 3 times into the week. So now I do remember the very last class would be on a Friday. So it's a Friday. I comes into the classroom and Beverly is there and she's got this outfit on, the outfit that she had stole from the Macy's, and she's got the pink book bag sitting in the chair. So I'm like, oh my God. All of this over giving a pin. I gave this bitch a pin and now I can't get rid of her. I comes in and I sit down and she's like,
Good morning, friend. Good morning.
I'm like, good morning. She hands me a piece of paper, okay? She hands me this piece of paper. So I look over towards her and she's like,
That's my phone number. Because remember, we was in a store and I left out of the store. I couldn't even call you and tell you that I left the store.
so that's my number. Save my number. And text me from your phone so I can save your number. So I'm like, all right. And I fold the paper, I put it in my bag. I was trying to plan an escape, y'all, to get away from her because the whole stealing out of the Macy's thing, I didn't like that. I'm not really into shit like that. So I notices the professor, when the professor comes into class, he's looking directly at us. He looks straight at us and he's just looking at me like, you know, I literally just told you yesterday to stay the fuck away from this motherfucker. That's the look that he had. So the professor is like,
we're gonna be having midterms coming up soon, so I hope everybody is studying. I hope everybody is ready for the midterms. This just determines if you were paying attention in class.
and he looks straight over at me and Beverly. So Beverly has like a little, little palette and a mirror, and she's just not paying this professor any mind. Now that this class is over, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to the library. I need to study. I have a lot that I need to do, okay, for other classes as well. So she's like,
Oh, so we're not going to Fulton?
I'm like, nah, I'm going to the library. I don't go to Fulton every single day. She's like,
All right, well, I'll come to the library with you.
I'm like, okay, let's go. So we goes to the library, y'all. I got my books. I'm setting up to actually literally study. Beverly's got magazines. She's got, her phone. She's just not doing anything towards school. So I'm looking at her. She's just going through the magazines like,
That's cute. I would wear that. I would wear this.
so I'm like, how did your tuition get paid? Like, I just came out and asked her. You had financial aid. Like, how did you do this? She's like,
Oh, my dad paid for it.
yeah. I'm like, your father paid for you to come to this school. She's like, yeah. I'm like, so don't you think maybe you should put his money to use? She's like,
I don't know, when I feel like it, then I start to do work. Right now, I don't feel like doing that.
I'm like, so what'd you come to the library for? She's like,
You sound angry, like you don't want me here at the library with you.
I'm like, no, you can go whatever the fuck you want to go, but I'm just asking, like, why did you come to the library? Like, you're literally sitting here reading magazines and talking about what you would wear instead of studying. The man just said we have midterms coming up. She's like,
I'm not worried about that. I pass all my midterms and my tests regardless of studying or not.
I'm like, all right, cool. Do you, Miss Beverly. So while we sitting there at this table, this same guy that was in the cafeteria, he walks by and he's looking at us. He's looking down at us and he's walking by. Beverly sees him and Beverly is like,
Oh, I'll be right back.
so I'm like, where you going? She's like,
I'm going to talk to my future husband.
and she walks off. So I'm like, let me utilize this time while Beverly's not at this table to try and at least try to understand a little bit of this chemistry bullshit. Because I know him fell this in midterm. I know him fell it because I don't know what the fuck is going on. So I'm just in the book, looking around, trying to understand everything. This light skinned guy, he had like a beard, nice waves. Okay, he walks up to the table and he's like,
Hey, how you doing?
so I'm like, hey, what's up? And I looks back at the book. He's like,
You probably don't recognize me.
let's give this guy a name. We're gonna call him Suave. Just call him Suave, okay? He's like,
I'm Suave. I'm in your chemistry class.
so I'm like, oh, okay. Like I ain't even really noticed you, which I did, y'all. He's like,
Like, yeah, I sit towards the window.
I'm like, I don't know. When I walk into class, my eyes go straight on my seat and I'm just there. So I don't know. He's
Like, yeah, well, I was just trying to see if you want to be like study buddies for this midterm.
so I'm like, study buddies. He's like,
Yeah, like I noticed when Professor D asking you questions, you don't really be understanding, but I know what's going on, so I figured one hand wash the other. We could study with one another and get to know each other as well.
so I'm like, that sounds like a plan. Okay, that sounds like a plan. Okay, because I need to pass this class, and you're telling me you understand this chemistry stuff. He's like,
Yeah, I understand it all.
I'm like, all right, cool. So he's like,
Like, do you want to start today or you want to start a different day? Because I see you got company like there's some books here, some magazines here.
nah, let's move that shit out the way. So he slides the magazines over, y'all. He sits down and we actually get to studying. Like he's showing me how this chemistry, how it goes. Like,
This part here and that part there, and then you take this number here. It's really easy once you really get to know it, like how it goes.
I still feel like he was speaking another language, okay? Because I don't know what he was talking about. We just sitting there and he's doing, the math in this book here, like a chart book. Beverly comes walking over and she's like,
Who's this?
he's like,
Hey, what's up? I'm Swan. I'm in your class.
she's like,
Oh yeah, I remember seeing you.
so she comes around the table, y'all, and she sits down. She's like,
Y'all just moved me right out the way.
so Suave was like,
Well, I just asked King if we could be, study partners or whatever. I see she was kind of having an issue in the class, so I was just trying to help her out.
so Beverly was like,
Well, I'm her study partner.
so Suave is like,
What are y'all studying? What are y'all studying right now? Like, I don't see you with any books or anything.
Well, we're study partners.
so Suave looks at me. I'm like, yeah, so what were you saying? Like, I just really just went around that because, girl, what are you talking about? What study partner? What are you talking about? All you do is look at magazines and talk about fashion and still not at Macy's, okay? So Beverly is like,
Are we going to Macy's today?
and I'm like, nah, I told you I'm gonna be here at the library because I need to study. She's like, all right. So she's just sitting there and she's just in these magazines, going through these magazines. She's ripping pages out of the magazine, y'all. She's just doing a whole bunch of bullshit, right? But me and this dude, we're studying, we're trying to help me understand the numbers and how this class goes. So once we was done, so I was like,
All right, so on Monday, if you come to class, we could meet back here at the library.
like, that's fine with me because I need to pass this midterm. So Beverly is like,
So Monday you come back to the library. We're not going on Fulton.
so I'm like, we can go on Fulton, but I need to hit this library first. She's like,
All right, fine.
so when we leaving out of the library, y'all, I goes up to the desk. All right, I'm going up to the desk. I'm trying to get me a library card from this library. And there was this brown skinned girl that was at the desk. She was there with an older Caucasian lady. So Beverly is trying to leave the library with these magazines, and the magazines belong to the library. The beeper goes off. So the girl at the desk is like,
Excuse me. those magazines belong in here. Where are you going with them?
Beverly is like,
You telling me that other people look at these magazines? Like, these are old, outdated magazines. Like, let's be freaking serious.
so the girl at the desk is like,
I am being freaking serious. The magazines belong to the library, so you need to take them back to where you got them from, and then you can leave. Either do that or I'm gonna call security. I'm not about to stand here and argue with you.
so y'all, Beverly takes the magazines and she slams them onto the desk, like slams them down. She's like,
You can take your outdated ass magazines back. I don't want them.
so the girl at the desk is like,
You're the one that's outdated.
so I'm looking at this girl that's at the desk and she's got a name tag on her shirt, y'all, and it says Tangi. It says Tangi on the name tag. So Tangi says to me,
I don't even know why you hanging out with this broke bum. You can clearly see that she's a bum. Okay, you trying to steal magazines out of a fucking library and then getting mad because we're telling you you can't take them?
so I was just like, I mean, she's not my friend. I'm not hanging out with her. Like, she literally came with me to the library, okay? It's a long story. So Tangi was like,
You don't owe me no explanation. I'm just saying, like, you look like you need to be hanging out with, somebody more lit than that.
so I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I did my little library card thing and I walked out, okay? This is how I first met Tangi. So I walked out of the library, and Suave is coming. Suave's walking on the side of me and he's like,
The library girl is right. Like, that girl look like she's trouble. Like, I don't know, it's just something about her. And she don't even pay attention in class. Like,
so I'm like, yeah. The professor told me that. The professor told me to stay away from her. Like, he said he did some type of research on her and I need to stay away from her. We're gonna go ahead and fast forward, y'all. So now it is maybe a week, okay? This is the week of the midterms, okay? I'm just trying to get this story out quick because that noise outside is really starting to piss me off. But back to the story. This is midterm week, okay? And everybody is like nervous. Y'all know, college goers, students, y'all already know how the midterm season is. It's stressful, it's aggravating. You just hope that you pass your midterms, okay? So it's midterm week and we is in this classroom and the teacher is like, this is part one of the midterm. Everybody's seats were spaced out. We could not sit next to each other like we normally do. So when I got to the class, y'all, Beverly is sitting in the corner and she's got her bag in the other chair that's like spaced apart from her. So when I walk in, she's like, so I'm just like, telling her I'm gonna sit in the front. So she's like, she just blurts out loud, y'all, okay? And people had already started their test. As you come in, you start your test. She's like,
I saved you a seat.
so everybody turns around and looks at her. So I'm just looking at her like, I'm gonna sit right here. And I sat down. So when I looked down to, towards my left, towards the window, Suave is sitting in the seat and he looks up at me like, so we doing our test or whatever. And the professor is walking around and I notice how his attention is on Beverly. Like, he's just watching Beverly really hard. Y'all, Beverly gets caught cheating. She starts yelling, okay, like a complete outburst in a quiet classroom. She's like,
What the fuck are you talking about? What are you doing? Like, why are you taking my paper from me? What are you doing?
Professor is like,
I'm gonna have to actually leave the class. You're gonna have to leave the class because you're just too loud. You're interrupting the other students. You're trying to cheat. I can see what you're doing.
so she's like,
I'm not trying to cheat. What the fuck are you talking about? Give me my test back.
the professor is like,
I'm asking you to leave. Leave the classroom or I'll call security.
so y'all, Beverly refused to leave. The professor threatens to call security, y'all. So he goes to his phone and he's dialing up security. So everybody in the class is like distracted. Everybody's turning around looking at her. Suave is like,
You just leave. Like, just get up and leave. Like, it's not worth it. Like, once you're caught cheating, that's it. It's done with. It's a wrap.
so Beverly is
Like, I wasn't cheating. That's the whole thing. Like, I wasn't cheating. Like, you're just sitting there watching me. Like, what the fuck? It doesn't make no sense.
so Professor is like,
Get up and walk out.
she wouldn't leave y'all. So now security has came to the classroom and they're asking her to leave. She's like,
I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. My dad paid for this class. I'm not leaving.
it starts arguing with the security y'all. She's like,
I'm not going nowhere. I'm not going to motherfucking place. Give me my test back. Give me my test back.
so y'all, Professor and Beverly start arguing, okay? Security is telling the professor to just be quiet. Like, they're trying to get in between them. So Beverly gets up and she starts walking towards the door, and the professor was like,
You know, I'm going to request for you to be removed from my class. I want you dropped from my class. I don't want you in my class because you don't pay attention. You're distracting other students. You're not here to learn anything. You're here to be a distraction.
so Beverly turns around. Beverly's like,
You know what? Q, I don't know what you think you're talking to. Like, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?
so the professor was like,
Yes, a failure. That's who you are.
so Beverly was like,
Q.
so security is like, let's go. Like, they're telling her to leave, y'all. Beverly was refusing to leave. So the security guard grabs Beverly's arm and is like trying to pull her out of the door. It got bad, okay? These two security guards, they lift Beverly up, and Beverly takes her feet and like puts it on the wall, if y'all get what I'm saying. She puts her feet on the wall and was like,
I'm not going nowhere. And then y'all gonna lose your fucking job because why the fuck are you touching me? Why are you touching me?
so they put her down. They put her down once she said that, and more security came. It took them maybe 20 minutes to get Beverly out the classroom and away from the classroom, okay? It was embarrassing. Y'all, once they got Beverly out of the classroom and away from the classroom door, the professor is like, I'm sorry for all the noise, y'all. Everybody go back to your test. Just go back to your test. So I look over at Suave, and Suave is just shaking his head, okay? So once the midterms hour was over with, everybody's leaving one by one after they were done with their tests. Once I left, y'all, and I got downstairs and out of the building, Beverly was sitting outside in front of the school on the little flower plant thing. It was like a wall, okay, and you could sit on this wall. She's sitting there and she's like,
Girl, you see this? Do you see how that professor is? Like, I'm gonna get him fired. I'm getting the security guards fired too.
so I'm just like, I mean, the man said he saw you cheating. Like, I don't know because my back was turned somewhere else. She's
Like, then why you ain't sit in the seat? Why you ain't sit with me? Like, I don't understand. Why you sitting in the front?
So I'm like, I didn't want to sit in the back. I wanted to sit in front. So once I'm done with the test, I can just leave. I was trying to get rid of this girl, okay? I was trying to get rid of this motherfucker. That's what I was doing, all right? That's why I sat in front. So I'm just like, you know, I don't know, Beverly. You need to go back into school and find out about the midterm and how you could retake it, if they're gonna let you retake it, because you've been put out of the school. You need to even see if you still go to this school. But for the time being, I'm about to go to Walgreens and then I'm going home. It's like, oh,
You know, I'm gonna come with you. I could use something out of Walgreens. I forgot I need some new makeup.
so I'm like, all right. We get to this Walgreens, y'all. I didn't even walk around with Beverly because that whole Macy's thing, it was stuck in my head. So I just walks into this Walgreens and I goes my way to get what I needed to get, and I go straight to the register. She's still in the store. So once I pay for my stuff, y'all, I come out of the store and I'm walking up this block. I'm not even waiting for her. I'm walking up this block so I can get to the 3 train so I can go home. Beverly is coming behind me. I can hear her. Okay, with her little platform slippers that she used to wear. So she's running behind me and she's like,
Yeah, girl. You just left. Like, you didn't even tell me you was leaving.
So I'm like, I thought you was outside. Like, that's your routine. We go in stores, you go in the store, and you outside. She's like,
No. They didn't have anything that I needed, but they didn't have the certain type of makeup that I'd be, normally using. But I was able to get some stuff.
here we are once again, y'all. I don't see no bag. Okay, no bag. So when we get to the train station, and I'm like, all right, so you going home? She's
Like, no, I'm going to see my dad. My dad lives in the sty.
like, okay, I didn't know that.
I told you my dad, my dad is black. He stays in the sty.
So I'm like, so you're telling me you're riding the train with me? Like, you could take the A train. A train goes to the stop. She's like,
Yeah, like, I could take the 3 train. You taking it to Utica, right? And I could just take the bus, ride the bus straight down to his house when I get off on Utica.
so I'm like, you can take the A train. You can go to the train station down there. If you want, I'll walk you over there. So she's like,
I don't know. I feel like you don't want to be my friend no more.
so I'm just like, I mean, that's not it, I'm just trying to escort you to the train station. So she's like,
I don't know, like you just been acting weird. I don't know what it is, Kate. Like you just been acting really weird.
So I'm like, I'm not acting weird. I'm not acting weird at all. I just want to go home. Like, that's what I'm telling her. So she goes in her book bag, y'all. The same furry book bag, and she pulls out a lip gloss and hands it to me and was like, here, I got you something. And I'm like, I don't want that. I'm good. I don't even use that. I don't want it. She's like,
I mean, it's lip gloss. It's L'Oreal lip gloss.
I'm like, I don't want it. And let me guess, you stole that from Walgreens too. She's like,
why do you keep saying steal? It's not stealing.
So what is it called? You didn't pay for it. Like this, girl. So she puts the lip gloss back in her bag and she walks away, y'all, okay? And she just walks off. I go down to the train station and I go home. So we're gonna fast forward one last time. I get to school a couple of days after the whole midterm because I would have days in between where I didn't have class. So when I get to school, y'all, I don't see Beverly in the class. And Beverly was always on time for classes, but never ditched in the class. So when I got to the chemistry class, Beverly wasn't there. So I'm like, okay, Beverly is she's officially kicked out of this class. I'm seeing this because she's not there. So when I come in, I sit down, and Suave comes over and he sits down and he's like, yeah.
I'm guessing old girl is kicked out of the school because I ain't seen her.
So I'm like, have you seen her any other place other than this class? He's like,
yeah, I will see her by the library, I will see her by the cafeteria, and I will also see her, by like the auditorium, but I haven't seen her.
So I'm like, well, maybe she just don't got no classes today. All in all, I'm glad because she was getting on my fucking nerves. So the chemistry class went smooth, y'all, okay? It was no Beverly. It was no distractions. The professor wasn't distracted by Beverly. It was nothing. So I goes to the cafeteria, my normal routine, so I can get my Strombolis. And Tangi comes onto the line. She's on the line. So she's like,
hey, what's up, girl? How you doing?
So I'm like, hey, what's going on? So she's like,
I see you not with your friend.
So I'm like, yeah, that was not my friend. That was just a classmate. She wanted to be study buddies, and it didn't work out. She's
like, well, that's good because she's not but a fucking thief, a broke bum thief.
So I'm like, yeah, you ain't got to sweet talk me. I sees it. Like, and I'm thinking in my head about the whole Macy's and Walgreens thing, but I ain't saying nothing to Tangi about it. So Tangi was like, yeah, well, you need to pick better friends. That's not a good friend. That's not a study partner. She's just a bum, literally. So I was like, yeah, you're right. So she's like,
yeah, by the way, what's your name?
I'm like, I'm Kane. She's like,
oh, okay. Well, I'm Tangi. I know you see my name tag.
I'm like, yeah. She's like,
yeah, so I work in this library for 3 days a week.
I'm like, that's what's up. So she's like, yeah, so are you working? Like, I can get you a job there if you're trying to get a job there. Like, they're hiring. So I'm like, nah, I'm working outside of the school. I'm just trying to get, my college credits, my associate's degree, you know, whatever degree I was after at this time, that's what I'm trying to get and just get the fuck out of here. So she's
Like, all right, well, I guess I'll see you around. I'll be at the library, so whenever you come to the library, you need some help, look Tangi up.
I said, all right, I got you. And we literally dapped like this, y'all. And she got her little piece of things, and I got Master and Bowley's, and we got off the line. And, you know, we left. The next day, y'all, when I comes to school, I sees Beverly. Beverly's got on a black hoodie. Okay, it was cropped though, because you could see her belly. So she had a black hoodie on, and she had these black pants that matched the hoodie, and she had on these platform sneakers. She had the hood on her head, and she had these black sunglasses on, and she had the same book bag, furry book bag, but it was purple, a little bit smaller than the pink one. So she's walking in the hallway, and she's just like walking. So she walks past me, and I just stop and I look at her like, because I'm standing at the elevator. I'm like, hello to you too, Beverly. So she stops and she turns around and she's like,
Hey.
So I'm like, you good? What happened with school, with the class and everything? Did they kick you out of the class? Because I didn't see you in there. She's like,
yeah, that motherfucker kicked me out of the class, but it's all good. I don't care. But I'm still enrolled in the school, but I'm on probation.
So I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So I'm like, as I'm talking to Beverly, I'm noticing that Beverly she's acting weird. So I'm like, you good? Like, what's up with you? She's
like, I had a bit of a discrepancy last night, but I should be okay. So it's nothing serious.
So I'm like, what type of discrepancy? Like, what are you talking about? She takes her sunglasses off, y'all, and her eye. It was, she had the biggest black eye you can think of known to mankind, okay? So I'm like, what the fuck happened to your eye? She's like,
it's a long story. Like, it's a long story, and right now I'm in the process of a lawsuit.
So I'm like, a lawsuit? She's like,
yeah.
So she's like,
are we going to the cafeteria today?
And I'm like, yeah, that's where I'm getting ready to go now. She's like,
all right, well, when we sit down, I'll tell you.
So y'all, once we get to this cafeteria, we sitting down. I didn't even get my Stromboli's this day. Like, I just got me a drink, and we sitting down at the table. Beverly is telling me how she linked up with this guy. She's like,
you remember the guy that we had seen inside the cafeteria that, and I got his number?
I was like, yeah. She's like, yeah, I went hanging out with him because he stays in Queens. So we were hanging out.
And he had left, he left a bag of marijuana in the car. When he got out of the car to go into his sister's house, I had took some of it and put it into my bag. Like, I don't understand what the problem is. I put some into my bag, and when he came back in the car, he starts going crazy. He's talking about the bag looks skimp, and I stole some of the marijuana out of the bag. I'm telling him I didn't steal it, and he just lost it in the car, and he punched me in my face.
So I'm like, you were sitting in this car with this man, you stole his marijuana, and you lied about it, and then he duffed you out. To sum it all up in a nutshell, she's like,
yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
So I'm like, why would you even steal his stuff? I'm confused. Y'all, this girl says,
why do you keep using the word steal?
I'm like, because that's what it is. When you take something that belongs to somebody that's not yours, it's called stealing. Like, I don't get it. What were you taught as a child? It's called stealing. So y'all, Beverly gets up from the table and she walks over towards the vending machine. A brown-skinned girl comes walking over to the table, and she's like,
hey.
So I'm like, hey, what's up? I know you? She's like,
I know, you don't know me, but I just wanted to give you a heads up about my sister. That's my sister over here at the vending machine.
So I'm like, Beverly. She's like,
yeah, my name is Jenny Lee.
So I'm like, okay, what's up, Jenny? How you doing? She's like,
you might want to stay away from my sister. My sister is bad news, like really, really bad news. And I'm just giving all of her friends a heads up, okay? And it's about 7 of y'all. So I'm just letting y'all know that Beverly is bad news. She's bad luck, bad trouble, whatever you want to call it. My parents basically like kind of threw her out of the house. She's got a lot going on, okay? So you might want to stay away from her.
So I'm like, okay. So y'all, I grabs my soda and I gets up and walks out of the cafeteria. I walk straight out of the cafeteria, y'all, and I walk straight out of the school building. Beverly is calling my phone, okay? She's calling my phone. No, she's not calling my phone. I walked straight out of the school, y'all, and I got on the train and went home. The next day when I get to school, I get to this chemistry class. Suave comes and sits next to me. Suave tells me how the police NYPD came to the school to arrest Beverly in the auditorium, okay? I don't know what Beverly had going on, y'all, but something, whatever she had did, scandalous wise, it followed her to the school, okay? And the police came to arrest her at the school. And this had happened at 8 in the morning, around those time frames of the classes. So I'm just like, they came and they arrested her in the auditorium, and Suave was like, yeah, it was wild. Like, she really cut up bad. Like, she was yelling and screaming, she was fighting with them, like resisting. So I'm like, what? So I'm like, was it a lot of people there? And Suave was like, yeah, it was a few people there. Like, it was a good amount of people, a good amount of students. Everybody was there watching, basically. So once the chemistry class was over, I went to the library, and there was Tangi. Tangi was at the desk. I walked up to the desk, and Tangi was like,
I'm guessing you heard about old girl.
So I'm like, yeah, a classmate told me about it. She's like,
yeah, it was wild as, like, that bitch is wild as, she's wild. Like, so you know she's kicked the fuck out of the school.
So I'm like, well, what exactly did she do? So Tangi was like,
it was just a lot. That girl had a lot going on.
So I'm like, yeah, there was a girl that came up to me that was supposedly her sister and told me to stay away from her. So she's like,
yeah, it's 2 of them.
So I'm like, wow. So Tangi was like,
I'm glad you got away from her. Like, I'm glad you got away from her, because you would have been tied up in that bullshit that she had going on. Like, that girl is crazy.
Y'all, I don't know what happened with Beverly. I just know that Beverly got arrested and she was kicked out of the school after that, completely kicked out of the school. Her sister was still going there, but then after maybe a month, I didn't see her sister anymore. I'm guessing her sister went to another school. I don't know. But that's the story time, okay? That's my story time. That's how I met Tangi. And the next story time I do, I will tell you how I met Tika and Maribel and how we all began to be friends. So this is the story time, y'all, okay? Because this noise is driving me the fuck insane. If you like this story time, give this video a thumbs up and leave some comments. Let me know how your first year of college was. Did you meet somebody like Beverly, a kleptomaniac, scamming, thief? I don't know what happened to Beverly, okay? But y'all write some comments and tell me what y'all think happened to her. I personally think Beverly sat in jail for a good while, okay? That's what I think. If you didn't like this story time, give this video a thumbs up and be blessed, okay? You shouldn't even be on this video if you don't like it. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and close this video out, okay? I want everybody to have a blessed, safe day. I want everybody to practice self-love. Start loving yourself a little bit more so you can give that love to somebody else, okay? So, wherever you at in this crazy-ass world, don't forget to tell a friend, to tell a friend, tell another motherfucking friend, to tell another motherfucking friend that the king is on the mother YouTube. Peace.
I got so many flows, man. It's like picking out clothes. Hey, I got so many flows. I don't know how to be the same. So many flows. I can kill your beat any type of way. So many flows.